And you can hear me on stream? Yes. Very good. Make sure that you have a comfortable position. Close your eyes. Recognize what is here in this moment. Be aware of your experience. You might have preferences, you might have likes and dislikes about how the experience is, but you just allow it to express. Just allow this moment to unfold as it unfolds. If the mind is full of things and thoughts, just anchor yourself in the body for a while. Recognize the expressions of the body, how it feels. Maybe there is tension in the jaws, shoulders, in your legs. You just relax it. Just recognize the experience of the body. Those surface expressions of your clothing against your skin, of your legs against the floor. Or the more subtle experience, the tingling, the prana moving in the body. And you might carry the heaviness of the ideas of your situation or your life with you in this moment, but as you are here, just allow them to also just be expressed. See that you can recognize whatever comes in this moment. You just look at this, at everything with this simple awareness. The strange thing with this looking is that it is not really a looking from somewhere. It's just looking. It's just recognizing without a recognizer. You can even notice the tendencies of the personal coming and going. In the gaps, there is no one. There can come an idea that you have to do something or go somewhere, and you become again for a little while, and then you go back into the relaxation of just being. There can be all these expressions of the body and the identification with the body, but in some moments it always reveals that everything is just happening. That this deep watchfulness is not a someone. It's just awareness itself. There's nothing that you have to become. There's no one to fix. There is just this moment. Thoughts may occupy the mind and make it feel like they're important. Like they have something profound to tell you about your situation, who you are. But that is just another phenomena, arising and falling in the vastness of consciousness. And meditation is just embrace of what is. Taking a break from controlling and sorting and doing right. Just allow this moment fully. It can feel too big at first. It can feel like it's too much to take. To allow the fullness of the experience, to allow the emptiness of it, and the play between the two. The recognition of silence itself. The expansiveness of beingness. The simple expression of not trying. this stillness, this recognition of just being. Is you. Not the phenomena, not the thing that is coming and going. To recognize it, to come back to it again and again. When you leave here, your mind might be occupied by other things. You might again take hold of the ideas of things happening in the future, or the past might come knocking. But whatever is there, notice that it all comes in this moment. A thought that arises, stays for a while and goes. And no matter how important or how much that thought might thrill you or make you think that it is important, it is just another thought coming and going. You are this moment. It is all that is. Everything else is a phenomena that comes and goes. It's not something to believe in. It's to recognize, look into. And in that alignment with what is, life can become natural. And the less you identify as a doer, the easier it will become. You will notice that this moment is just happening. What needs to be done will be done, but without the effort of the doer. The idea of the person doing creates resistance, creates duality, creates a relationship with everything. Is, do I like it? Don't I like it? Do I want it? Don't I want it? And this play of identity creates so much friction, so many ideas of victimhood, separation, and all the rest. It gives the sense that you are not complete as you are, that this moment is not as it should be, and you struggle and suffer. But in the recognition of this moment and the acceptance of beingness as it is, and the recognition that this beingness is beyond the personal, is contentment, peace. It's so simple, so beautiful. And impossible for the mind to grasp, because it has to do with beingness, not intellectual understanding. And from the ego's point of view, it's hard. From beingness, it is as it is. You can open your eyes, move your body if you need to. I think one of the concepts of meditation that many struggle with is just to understand suffering itself. Because the word suffering in English is not a very good word to describe what we're talking about. Because when you think suffering, you think that you're in pain in the moment. That something is really, or you're suffering anxiety, that something is really pounding you, it feels like in suffering. But the suffering that is the worst suffering, the suffering of just feeling separate, of feeling discontent, the nagging sensation that something is wrong, something needs to change, and that you feel that almost all the time. This is the real suffering. It creates so many action, creates so much karma. And it's often completely misdirected. You have an idea of what will fulfill that discontentment. You have, if I only reach this, if I only fulfill this, if I only change this, if I only heal this part of me, if I only... It's always like that. It wants the next thing. And even if you lived a little, you notice that you achieve things, and there is always a next. There's always a next. There's always a next. And you start to get addicted to this behavior. Some people say that they just enjoy that. They enjoy the suffering of the next and achieving it. But it's just that they really, really like that moment of achieving. For a short while, they feel satisfied. And then again, the mind projects this dissatisfaction onto a new thing and try to achieve a new thing. And then you get it. And then you get addicted to this cycle of doing and achieving. Suffering the doing and achieving it, and for a little while feel free. This is the play of suffering. And some people have a story with it, that they enjoy that. That is the positive outlook on life, that they enjoy their suffering. I'm just being transparent with you. Oh. But you want to ask something?
Yeah.
Then you have to take the mic.
You once said something.
You can remove it from the stand and sit out here so I can see you.
You once said something related to suffering and ambition and not having ambition. I think related, like that you had read, I think. About people that suffer and have no... I'm paraphrasing here.
And what are you saying?
That people who are suffering and are not ambitious suffers less, or something related to this.
Yes, but you could say that if you have a very clear idea of who you are and where you're going, you're gonna meet resistance a lot, because it has nothing to do with really having wrong or right intentions in that, in a sense. They can have the greatest intentions in that, but it's just how the expression of beingness is perceived, how the laws of nature are. You understand? No, you don't. Because as soon as you make something, make an idea of something, an achievement that you are doing, you get to meet the resistance of that. You understand?
Yeah.
And if you have great ambition, you will meet great resistance in that. But it is only if it is personal. Because you can seem quite ambitious and do a lot of things, but be very loving in that. It does not create any karma. Do you understand? But quite few people are like that. Most people are ambitious and very selfish, even if it seems on the surface like they're doing it for mankind, or they're doing it for all. It's usually the drive is to just, how does it make me look? I want to be seen as a person who is very loving. And all these things can seem very free, but they're very ambitious. And it's very important to uphold this image. Everyone who has something like that even though it can seem like they have very nice intent, it's very petty. If we're going to be frank, it's very small. But it's not so easy to always see what ambition is, because we see ambition as an idea of someone who wants to accomplish a lot of things. But someone can do a lot of things and be very free in their mind and create a lot of good.
So there's not so much drive.
But because there is no personal drive, there is no personal gain at all. But all those things are very good to look at. Even if you say, because almost everyone has the idea that their ideas are common sense and they are the best ideas. Right? Like if you look at, I met a guy one time and he said he's going to start a political party. And I said, okay, what is the political party? Yes, it's a party completely based on common sense. And I said, I have bad news for you. I think that every political party ever is based on that premise. Everyone thinks that they're right, their arrogance thinks that they're right in some way, that they have the best knowledge of something. This is how things usually are. So it's also quite uncommon to really bow to beingness itself, because the arrogance usually stops that. But you know how it is. You don't need this. You don't need a god. You don't need a guru. You don't need any teacher to tell you what's up. You know it. And the confusion with that arrogance is that it is very close to it looks on the surface, it can look like the faith of the inner guru. In the intuitive sense, it can have that facade. Yes, but I'm going more for my intuition. I don't really need this guidance. You can so easily bypass it by saying those things. So ambition and arrogance is very closely related, usually, when we talk about it. But when we talk about ambition, I just want to be clear that someone can seem very ambitious, but they can also be very free in that. But most commonly is that you're ambitious and you want something from your ambition. Who are you in this? You understand?
Is it same with creativity? Like I feel like that drive, that ambition has, as you say, like when I feel like creativity is flowing through me, I think there is no personal ambition.
Yes, but even in the moment of creation, the idea of it can be born out of this, which is very common, of the beingness itself. It just provides an idea, like ideas come. You don't conjure an idea; they just come. You recognize that? Yes, but the ego can, of course, just take this and say, oh, it's my idea. I can do something with this. This is great.
But then there is tension there, and then it, for me at least, yes,
in a way it contaminates.
Because on the surface it can look like creativity, but it is more mechanical and it's more strenuous.
Yes.
And it's like, it's not. There is no real aliveness in there.
Yeah.
It's resistance in there.
Yes, and it's a lot of effort usually.
Yeah,
yes,
definitely.
So and I think that these qualities, when you when someone has made music purely from beingness, you can sometimes listen to it, and also it's so much transmitted to you. There's spiritual music that is like this, and there's, of course, other composers that touch on this. I listen to certain kind of music, and it just invokes a beingness. And other music can invoke other things because there has been other intention in it. And I think if you just practice, and then you start to recognize these things, these expressions. If you're very into one subject, usually you enjoy certain expressions in that area of creativity much more than others, and usually it's the ones that invoke this beingness. And this is to the deeper point with beingness and following it. It is just the expression of it becomes natural. But many people ask me, but yes, I love what you're talking about. How can we spread that more? How can we make more of it? How can more people be interested in it? All these ideas. But the most important is just if you are it. Because then the one who is receiving it does not have to be interested in meditation, or they don't have to do anything. They can just be in contact with you and be peaceful. This is the most beautiful thing with beingness, the embodiment of it. That you do your sadhana, you come back, you ask the question, who is the doer, who is the one who is ambitious, all these things, whatever it is, and you find the source, and you notice that there is just this awareness, this awakened thing that just sees everything. This is just aware. And you come back to it time and time again, and you make your home there. You start to doubt if you're a brother or a sister, or if you're someone's child, or you start to say, but if I'm honest, I am just awareness. I am just beingness itself. All the other things are ideas that come and go. They might seem profound at some point, but they're just another thing. You don't have to fix the world. Just be yourself. Just recognize this moment. You don't have to find love or wholeness or oneness somewhere else. You are the source. You are that. When the idea of the person goes, that is all that is left. You are the present moment, life itself, beingness, whatever you want to call it, awareness. You don't have to do anything. It sounds like, if you take that on a surface level, you will misunderstand it. There's nothing I can do. Why am I into this strange philosophy where there's nothing I can do anyway? And the mind can be deterred. And it can say that it is hopeless because it only plays with these things like hope and hopelessness. But that is so much surface level of the mind. Beingness itself is right here. You don't have to go via some strange labyrinth of the intellect to find your way to the end of it. That's just what the mind says. I need these things. I have to connect these dots. I have to do this and this. But the truth of it is that you don't know. Can you say that you don't know? This is like a dirty words in our culture to say that you don't know. But this is the truth. I don't know myself. I don't know what this experience is, what life is. And is it even knowable like that? Is it a thing that I can grasp, like something I can hold? No. So maybe the not knowing is the knowing. When you say, I don't know what life is, I don't know who I am, I don't know if I can even become something. Can I talk like this? Can you follow me? Mm-hmm. When we talk about depth in meditation, it seems sometimes like people think that the depth is that there has been many books that have been read, or the right things, the right teachings have been absorbed somehow from the books or from the teachers into the. But that is not what is happening. It's just a recognition that it is the same, and that there is nothing to know. But then that becomes the philosophy. Then it becomes the idea of nothingness, of not knowing. And the intellect grasps those ideas and tries to be nothing. And says, how do I get rid of thoughts? How do I become nothingness? Do you understand? It just plays with everything. It is the wrong instrument for doing that. The mind always creates more mind. There is only one really potent question that the mind can pose. Who am I? Because the answer to that is not intellectual. It's not a thing that you can hold. It will just take you to a non-intellectual place of being. And it can be so confusing because you can hear about these things that we talk about now and hear that they will be called to have the right kind of effort. And then the mind tries to do that. Do you understand the problem? And again, it goes into a strategy of a trying and trying. And everyone I talk to almost, they always come back to, but what am I going to do? And they're super frustrated if I say there's nothing to do. Because if the mind gets hold of that, it gives up. But you can come back to recognizing, but that is not a doing. We have to differentiate these things. That's why that's not called a doing, because it's just recognizing this moment as it is. Is that the doing? Who is the doer of the recognition? You understand? So it's an impersonal recognition that happens, but it comes from something. It's like a nothingness is coming back to nothingness. The impersonal coming back to the impersonal. Awareness coming back to awareness. is not super difficult. It's just more subtle than the thoughts of the mind. And as I've said many times before, the accessibility is full. 100%. There is no moment where you cannot be the present moment. If there is, you have to tell me how that is possible. And if that clicks in you, that this recognition of the present is the sadhana. And in moments it can feel like, oh, now I'm standing here waiting. I'm just thinking about things in the future. And suddenly you just recognize. You recognize that there is thinking. But this is more subtle than thinking. You understand what I mean by that? It is prior to thinking, because it's the recognition that there is thinking. And to the mind, this feels like a non-thing. To the ego, it is not a big deal, this recognition. Okay, it's there. And the mind will say, what will it do? What will I get out of this, coming back to this recognition? And the mind has nothing to gain from it, because all it does is loosen the mind's grip. And the more you recognize, the more you will see all your addictions, all your behavior, all the things that you desire for the individual, the personal desires, all these things. They will be obvious, and when you will see them, some of them will go, some of them will linger. And some things will just remain. But you will start to notice what is coming and going and what is more persistent. You will notice the whole structure of it. Before that, everything is just speculation. Everything is trying, speculation, this and that. You have your ideas of where you're heading, how are you healing, what is worth something, what is not worth something. You play with all these things. See what in actuality goes. See if you don't touch the thoughts, if you just recognize them, what goes and what stays. And all the things that feel sticky and you feel stuck with, and you have so much longing for, you grasp onto it because you're afraid of the vastness of nothing. All these things will be revealed in it. You will see how you trying to hold the person together. And I think that is the feeling that most people have. That they're walking around trying to keep the person together. Try to uphold a front that works somehow. And you might notice all the effort that is put into becoming. Trying to be something. All the effort to be liked, to be accepted, to be normal, to be approved by the parents, to be approved by others, to feel like a good member of society. All these things. But there is a big difference. There's a big difference in upholding the morals of society and upholding the laws. It's great, of course, we should be part of society, we should do those things. But if you follow the laws of beingness, you will be free. And all you will be if you follow the laws of society is a good citizen in someone's eyes. That's a big difference. And this beauty of not knowing is also the beauty that life will surprise you. And the expectations of the mind do the opposite. If the mind is full with expectation and ambition, you will only see things that fit that vision. You will only see things that fit that view. But if you stay with the not knowing, then all the expressions can play. So much beauty, so much playfulness. If we say the word the unknown, it sounds like something negative, right? The unknown. But it can also be the unknown. It could be a beautiful word. Yes.
The last time I saw you, we talked about how there are gaps in the sense of self throughout the day.
In the sense of identity.
Yeah, in the sense of identity. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Which been interesting after there. Since then, it's been longer and longer gaps in identity, very similar to when you drive the car and feel like you lose yourself, and then the phone rings and you come back. So there's been that sense of identity, I think for me has been very similar to what I thought was awareness. That I lost my awareness for a while, and then the phone rings and I come back. I do the dishes and I lose the sense of self or sense of identity, sense of me altogether. Previously it's been still a position, still a center, still an observer from a view, trying to observe the thoughts, but always with the center. I can't really explain it, but I hope I'm getting to a question here as well. So, but it's very different when it feels as if the knowing is gone, the part of me that can know in that moment, and there's just being, but even that feels too much to say in a way. So all sense of me, all sense of identity is gone, and it's very vague in a way. In a way, it feels like a non-functioning state, but I still drive the car, I still do the dishes, but it's very it's very still, and it's very peaceful, and it's very freeing, and I really enjoy it. And then that sense of self, or that I am sense, or whatever I should call it, identity, comes back, and as you say, then identity wants to get rid of itself again, starting to swing at the illusion of a me again, and that only creates it more. So I actually don't know how that sense of me is going and coming and going anymore. It just happens on its own more and more, and it doesn't feel like a me knowing when it's gone. It's almost like the me can only know it afterwards, when the me is back.
Yes.
In a way, which then creates a snapshot of that experience, and the identity tries to recreate that experience.
Yes.
Which
it
never
gets
works.
complex because of memory.
Yeah. And that never works, and then I relax at some point, and then it's the same. And it feels like distance is very different whenever that center is gone. Time is very different when that center is gone. And yet there's been some high functioning states, or I can be in that state. I know it's a state you never leave, but it gets obscured with ideas of a self, right?
Yes. So your experience is that it feels like you're going between different states.
Yes. And I have an intellectual knowing of it just being obscured by an idea of a self. It's so... I always thought that the egoic mind was this subtle, like my name, the doer, my job, but that after our last conversation, the most subtle little, just even being feels like it's gone. It's just being. The beer feels gone in a way, and that's quite interesting. And it also then sometimes fear shows up, being almost scared for that sense of me, the separate, the owned part of experience. What if that don't come back? What if it's a permanent shift of just beingness? And almost like a very ironic but mourning part of not, what if I'm not able to have that in the future? So I'm aware that all of this is still just thought and still just ideas, but it's interesting to. So I would also like to ask what is your experience? Do you have a sense of self that comes and goes still, or
the thing that I sense in you when you talk about this is that part when you say, I find it interesting, because that part is the ego who wants to deal with this. And when you say, I cannot really control it, it feels like sometimes it just loosens and it goes into almost a timeless, blissful state for a while. And it feels like you might have the sense that it's almost difficult to even continue doing things like doing your dishes, even more perhaps in driving a car, that it feels like everything just wants to go into that being. You can still do things, but there is a small sense of forcing to continue. The draw is to just be. And this expansive nature of beingness when that happens, just invite that. And it just reveals what is already in there. That everything is just unfolding, and all these things feel quite natural in that. You see that you are doing things because they need to be done, perhaps for the situation or whatever it is. That expression is naturally there. But there is a deeper sense of this beingness that is just everywhere and nowhere.
And it feels so impersonal in a way.
Yes.
That there's no sign of me anywhere. There's no boundary of a me in that space.
And it doesn't really want anything. There's no ambition. There is no agenda in it. There is nothing like that. That is just the allowance of beingness in that. And before I came to my guru, I had experiences of the ego falling in short situations, and it felt very overwhelming, very big then. And it felt like real fireworks, like now something is really happening. But when I started to be with Swami, it was more like that became a normal state. And that you could sit for 5 hours just looking at the jungle. And it felt like there's no problem. There's nothing that needs to be tweaked, or nothing that is uncomfortable with sitting in the same place for 5 hours. And that love of the present moment, it doesn't want anything. So to the ego it feels strange because it's so it doesn't want to go anywhere. It doesn't want to do anything. So from the ego's point of view, it's almost kind of lazy or stubborn in a sense. If you move between those two, it can feel like that. But it's also goes into everything. It is not. It's difficult to express the impersonal qualities of it. I say things like it goes into everything, and it doesn't want anything because it's just happening. And it's very, very. If we would talk about it from a more relative perspective, it's very, very. It's deep contentment. It's deeper than pleasure.
It seems to work out great. That's what is pretty strange, that everything works fine.
Yes.
And I've had longer and longer experiences without any sense of an inside or outside, almost like there's no boundary of there's almost like the filter of something being me and not me is not there.
Yes.
There's it's
it just be all these things that want to make sense of it. They are the part of the identified.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
That have some interest and want to somehow hold it together or explain it to others or show it to others. All these things can be the parts of that the ego wants to put its hooks in it. Want to try to make it into something, because the ego always wants to feel special. So if it has experiences, it likes to say either internally or externally that this experience is special. It is something. So be aware of those tendencies with it, because the movement of it is very natural, and when it starts to break, the ego's grip starts to break, you come into these pockets, and it just is very, very peaceful. But the ego has some chances of bringing itself in, and depending on your disposition, usually, if you're used to it, if you have dealt with your own arrogance before, it might be a little bit easier, because if you have low esteem for a long time and suddenly start to feel this, it starts to feel very special, and it can grasp it very harshly and not want to let go of it, because this is what makes me into something. Now I'm not worthless, the ego says. I just want to, I don't know if that is your experience. I'm just saying that these are challenges that can happen in it, and the grasp can be both subtle and quite harsh.
Yeah, and I definitely have. I don't know where I'm at with that, to be honest.
No.
because if there's some of it, I'm probably not aware of it right now. But I do recognize that I've had a larger ego during this journey. That I know something others don't. And
Yes.
It's not my experience at this moment. What I know about, but.
But I just want to tell you that because you can seem very humble and you can be very soft-spoken about the things and all this, but there's still, it's just a very clever way that the arrogance of the ego can sustain. So it just finds its ways, and if your personality is quite humble, and it will tick all those boxes just to still stay relevant. But just be very notice if there is that you notice it wants to prove itself, it wants to show itself, it wants all these things. Those are common, and it can do it in a very slick manner. If you're good at presenting yourself, it can do it in a very slick manner.
I can imagine. Yeah.
Yes. So just be aware of those things and be very, very honest with it.
Yes. Can the non-egoic mind, can you have curiosity of this stuff without an egoic view?
There can be a lot of curiosity still in just, but it comes from a space of love and playfulness. It is not because I want to know, because I can show my knowledge to. That is the ego likes this measuring and showing itself to be better or worse than others. It likes to play those games. But if the curiosity is playful and often nonsensical, maybe even, it just wants to know for looking. But the ego can take all those masks and put it on and say, oh, this is what I'm doing. I have this explanation of it. And below it, there is another want. There is another desire to become or to show or to express.
I'm not aware about all those layers and masks in me, probably, because I'm sure there are many, and it might be egoic or just curious play, but it's some part of me or not me finds it interesting to hear about other experiences, not to gain more knowledge, because that doesn't seem to work.
Yes, but it often that is driven. From my experience, it is driven from an idea of comparing. And this comparison, what is it gonna do? And that is also, I also noticed that it's very common if you go to a teacher that you start to parrot the teacher. You want to talk more like the teacher talks. You want to hold yourself like the teacher you start to parrot the teacher. All these things are the ego's way of trying to become the awareness itself. It tries to, if it sees it in what it seems to be a form, it tries to parrot that form. So it tries to become it. So the ego is also playing like the game of this comparison.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yes, and it is a strange thing, because there is a part of you that might surrender, and it can feel like both that you're surrendering to beingness itself, a teacher, because these things are the same. And it feels like you surrender, but that surrender strangely also gives you back not to try to become something else. You understand? Because the ego tries to become the teacher, or tries to parrot the behavior of someone. And when you surrender really, you don't try that anymore, because you are the same.
Yeah, I don't feel like I'm doing any of that, but I'm sure I have and will. But maybe. Who
Yes,
knows?
and behaviors can differ. I tell you from my personal experiences and what I have seen.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, I was.
Okay.
When I meditate now, my thoughts don't feel so sticky anymore. They seem like they just come, and then I remember a time when it was very, very difficult to sort of detach myself from them. But now it doesn't seem that difficult. It's just something coming, and there's another one. But I wonder about something, and I know this is just also the intellect trying to understand everything, and wondering about like where the person is in the process, and I'm aware of that. But it is my experience that when I meditate, though, although thoughts aren't very sticky, that I still have a lot of thoughts. I don't really. I feel like I hardly ever. I can sit and then just a thought will arise and then it will go, and then I'll sit and nothing will happen for a little while, but always another thought will come pretty soon, I think. And it's generally speaking, I'm not taken away. Maybe I am, sometimes obviously, but then I can usually recognize pretty quickly. And I wonder a little bit about if that's just something that takes a little bit of time. I realize as well how much I use my intellect during the day, and how I know that my sort of spiritual journey has been sort of very intellectual, which I think it's sort of needed to be for me, because I sort of needed to give myself permission to take the journey. But I kind of wonder if that's what's sort of holding me back a little bit now. And then obviously these are just ideas about somebody being held back, and I'm aware of that.
But of course, the mind can like the idea of if you have this kind of philosophical mind, and perhaps you always had, even as a child, and you had that for a long time, then it gives it permission to pursue spirituality if it feels like a sort of deep philosophy. This is like the ultimate philosophy. Is at the core of who am I? It goes through everything. It can feel ultimate like that. But it can so easily be an obsession with it as that kind of idea. And when you say there's still a lot of thoughts, the sense that comes to me is that is because you don't trust. There's no faith, or very little of it. There's no surrender. There is, when you engage into spirituality, you like these things that inquiry, you like these things that feel intellectual and philosophical, but the heart part is not yet in place. So do you sing bhajans by yourself? Do you do anything like that?
No, I don't sing usually, no.
No.
I will chant Om sometimes.
Yes. And do you have pictures of teachers in your home?
I have a very nice Nataranja statue who I
Yes.
sort of...
So you have some
Yeah.
symbols that you feel are prominent.
I feel like I have flirted a little bit with the idea of surrendering to Shiva, and sometimes it feels like a very scary thing to say, okay, Shiva, show me.
Yes.
You know, I know we've talked about this as well, but just as a symbol of surrender then. But I'm sure that I'm holding back as well. I'm sure you're right. Yeah.
Because it's not that... because you can have the feeling that it feels like something that is applied like a cultural, but that aspect is very secondary in it, actually. Is whatever you feel reverence to, whatever part of this experience you feel like you can fully bow to. And that surrender is so... it's strange in a way. At least for me, it felt very, very strange. It felt like, okay, I have to adopt some kind of religious way of relating to this. And what is that going to do? It felt so much like, yes, I'm just going to trust in some higher power. It felt, to me in the beginning, it felt so fake. And then I started to understand that it is just an aspect of everything. And it is the aspect that I surrender to already when I do my inquiry and when I meditate. This is what I bow to. And then you start to understand that that is the same. And when I met Swami, he just reflected that same thing. Oh, it's just this thing that is there, but it's just that the teacher can make it, oh. Instead of it feels a little bit vague in the background, it suddenly feels like, oh, it's here. It's really here. And I remember after being in the ashram for a while, I woke up in the middle of the night, just with there was just so much love. And I was just lying in my bed like this, smiling, for I don't know how long. Just felt like I was like embracing the universe itself, like beingness itself as an expression. I was just embracing it. And in those moments, you feel a bit crazy. This is crazy behavior in a sense. But the depth of how that, of the impact of it, is just the reverence becomes for everything, because everything is beingness. Before that, it was, yes, it is in this moment when I meditate, it is when I am at this retreat, I feel like this and this, or if I do certain things, it felt like those are the things that are meditation. And suddenly it's like you see spiders and rocks and you just see beingness. Everything is so beautiful. And the most mundane, normal things are amazing because they're just infused with the love of this moment. It's so simple like that. Spirituality can seem so, when it's on a philosophical level, it can seem so intricate. And if you go through the mind, it feels like, oh wow, all these, and you can see your intellectual journey also, how your ideas have matured, and suddenly they go into nothingness. But it feels really like a philosophical, like a thought journey, like something has happened. And then you start to see that it's never been a journey. You were never going anywhere. You were just dismantling your mind in a very, very slow and philosophical way. That's all that happens with it. And that there is no difference in the intention of the one who is very intellectually driven. There's no difference between that and the one who is just driven by heart. They're exactly the same. They end up in the exact same spot. But they just, is that one of them says, like you say, I think I have to walk this, this path with all these twists and turns in this manner. And of course, that is your disposition. And someone else is just from day one, I just want to give myself to Shiva. That's all I should. And they have a completely different, and it can take them on 1,000 turns because they trust in the wrong thing and they become too externalized in their trust and they get lost and all these things as well. All paths you can get lost on, but they all lead to the same thing. There is no difference for the one on the intellectual path to the one on the path of the heart. They're exactly the same. And it's just that for the person that travels, it's not always nice, because the things that you have avoided because you think they're too religious or too intellectual or too whatever you come from, you have to face. Suddenly the one who is only with the heart notice that all I have to do is spiritual inquiry. That feels like the path of the intellectuals, because I get lost with my heart, because I'm too much heart. I need to have some concepts. I need to inquire something. I need to be more skeptical, whatever it can be, from that position. And from the one who is skeptical about everything and questions everything on every step, needs more heart, needs more trust, needs more faith. It is so beautiful that it is like that. We always come to meet the things that we try to avoid. If we have a prejudice, we have to see that. I don't want to touch anything that has to do with any of the religions. Okay? Then it comes. And there is no choice in the expressions of it. It just happens. And then the reverence for how the culture is culturally expressed, you will bow to that and you won't care if people think that you're strange in an orange t-shirt. But I think that you have already started going in that direction. I know that you have a newfound interest in bhajans, and so I think that those things, it's already in the works. I don't think that you have to do anything. Just be aware of it and just see where it takes you, and see where how that expression wants to be manifested. And if you don't hold back, it will just expand as it should expand, and the things that should contract. Some things will be more in your life, and other things will be less. And allow yourself to be surprised that it was not as you thought, or it's fine. And just have trust in that. The universe knows. Shiva knows. Someone else with a question today? Yes.
I guess it's one of those moments again where I don't know if it will be a question or not. We'll see. I've had the experience, for instance, last week and quite a few other times, where it feels like my heart just opens completely, and I just feel so much love for everything. And it doesn't feel possible to come down also in that moment, so to speak. But then I start working, or whatever it is, and it just feels like such a such a stark contrast, and it's as if I can, in those moments, in the beginning I was projecting on other people that they are so cold and so on, but of course I can see that it's all of those walls I've built around my heart that are sort of, I can see how much those walls hurt in me in the everyday life, and it's so painful to see or to feel in myself, where I contract and shut down, and where I just want to be loving to everyone I meet, but it's just contracted in that moment, and I'm stuck in that dream of I'm this person, I have to do this, and yeah, the question is just guidance.
Yeah. But because it's very, very common that your sadhana, that your meditation practice is in the moments where you think that this is what spiritual practice is, and you have a certain, when you sit in your meditation, when you're by yourself, when you have like the proper space, and you can be allowed to have this open heart, and the mind feels very, very spacious, for example, and it's fine. But the real integration happens when that the sadhana goes into your work, into your daily life, in all these, and the friction comes, and people have their views of things and how you should be, and you have your views and your ideas of what I should be in this situation, and to really allow your sadhana to move into that area, to be aware, to see all these, when you're holding back, when you're trying to protect yourself, just to stay with all that as awareness in those moments, because those moments are beautiful in that, because they really express something. Because we start out with our spiritual journey and we just want to grab hold of something that feels spiritual to start with. We just want to have a little piece of it. And in the beginning, it at first it's just like you're grabbing onto something, and then you have some kind of sadhana. You have to uphold it, you have to nurture it. It's like it feels like a really, really tiny plant that you just have to really, really take care of, because it has to be something at least. But when that has some stability in it, when that practice has some stability, it starts to bloom and it starts to go into everything. And we might think, the idea might be, oh, my life will be so beautiful because now I'm overflowing with love, and that will just flow into everything that I do. That is the idea, right? And then you see that when that happens, all the things, all the behaviors I have to protect myself and to fit in and to be liked and loved and all this, they're on full display. And it's not so nice. It doesn't feel good. It feels strange, and you feel exposed, and you feel all these things. And the beauty of it is just to allow it. To allow all those things to also be there. Not try to manage them always, but just look at what is the expression of this. Look at the fears that come, all the tension that is built. Because when you start to be aware of them, you also notice how they are built. And maybe that's behaviors that there is no need for them, but they're just automatic. And sometimes you will just see these behaviors. You see like the old behaviors take hold and be there for a while. They come automatically and they play out. But they don't have any real energy in them anymore. Yeah. It's just like it's an empty shell of that old behavior. And you can sense it, and okay, now this is going to happen again, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to present myself like this, but it start to mean nothing to you. And you don't have to do anything with those behaviors. They will just play out their course, and if you just stay with them, they will just fall away. At one point, there will just be, there's no need.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Okay. Did you want to say something? You want to sing that one? You have a request? Okay.
At least one.
Okay. Jai Jai Shri Radhe, 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 Jai Shri Radhe, Jai 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 Jai Shri Radhe. beings, be free from sorrow, be free from the chains of discontentment. And find peace and rest in this moment as it is.